Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Happy Tuesday. Today's rendition of May Fowled Up Cooking in the Kitchen is brought to you by me, making chicken gumbo pot pie. Pot pie has been a very popular dish in my kitchen these days, so I thought that I might mix it up and make a gumbo style chicken andouille pot pie. First, we're gonna start with onions, roasted red peppers, fresh tomatoes, celery, sweet corn, carrots, a little bit of jalapenos, put a little zip in our life, garlic, everybody loves garlic. And then we're gonna finish it with andouille sausage. After we render out the andouille sausage, we're gonna make a roux with a little bit of butter. We're gonna scent that with my Cajun gumbo spice, which consists of paprika, garlic, chili powder, oregano, cumin, thyme, salt and pepper, of course, and just a little bit of brown sugar. Bring out the sweetness in you. You can't have gumbo without okra. Okra is vegetable. I buy it frozen. Seems like it just makes it easier for us to make this pot pie. And then we're gonna finish this whole thing before we put it into our pot pie shell with filet powder. Filet powder is ground up sassafras, which is gonna give us that earthy gumbo flavor, plus it's gonna thicken it. Then we're gonna pour it all into this beautiful pie shell. We're gonna top it off with puff pastry. I'm gonna show you how to cut that in a minute. Let's get started. First, I take my andouille sausage with butter. More butter, more better. Get this sizzle on. After our fat has rendered out of our sausage, we're gonna add our vegetables. Corn, garlic, carrots, jalapenos, tomatoes, roasted peppers, onions, celery. See that beautiful color? All right, 3-4 minutes, nice and sauteed. We're then gonna put in our Cajun seasoning. So we want the seasoning to toast so we can get all the notes and oils out of all these special spices. Give it a toss. We're gonna add our flour. The flour is going to adhere to the butter and the andouille sausage fat and create a roux. We want to cook this roux out, make it sort of brown, because the brown roux is what gives our gumbo that delicious earthy flavor. So I'm thinking about a tablespoon, because we want it thick, but we don't want it too thick. And remember, it's got to go into a pie shell, so it's got to be thick enough where it's not running out of and making our pie shell soggy. We want to let that roux cook and brown. See that? That's kind of the color that we're looking for. See that reddish brown? That's going to give us those earth tones that we so desire. All right, so that's about 6-7 minutes. Now we're going to add our chicken stock. You can get it out of a jar, you can get it out of a can, or you can buy chickens and make it yourself. That chicken stock is gonna loosen up that roux and then thicken. See how fast it's thickening up there? Now we wanna return that to the heat, turn down the heat, and just let it simmer. Let it simmer so that all the flavors come together. See, just a couple of minutes, all of a sudden that's all nice and thick. We add our diced chicken to it. Chicken's already cooked, so the ultimate goal here is just to warm it up and get some of that, and get all those flavors going into it. I'm gonna add a spoonful of tomato paste. Tomato paste can give me a lot of richness and more of that color that we're looking for. 1 spoonful. You'll see in 1 minute when I stir this tomato paste in, it's gonna thicken it even further. We put that on a cool simmer. We don't need to cook the spoon. The spoon doesn't add any flavor to it. While that's cooking, we're gonna go over, and I have puff pastry. Puff pastry is layers of butter and dough. I believe it's 1,285 layers that has been rolled out, folded, rolled out, folded, rolled out, you get it, until it creates 1,285 layers of butter and flour and dough. That way when it bakes, it puffs. Hence the fact of the name, puff pastry. I have an 8-inch cake mold. We're gonna cut out a piece of puff pastry. Keep it on the parchment paper because that's how we're gonna lift it off. See that? Perfectly round. Little bit small, which is fine because we're gonna roll it out to fit. Let's go back to our gumbo, our stew. All right, see how that's nice and thick? All the flavors have come together. Okra. The okra is frozen and already cooked, so you don't need to actually cook it any further. You just kind of want to fold it in. Okra is just going to give us that texture. And then finally, the most important ingredient, gumbo filet powder. This is going to lend our earthy flavor, plus give this just a little more thick, a little more body, so that it definitely doesn't fall out of our pie shell. You want to bring it up to a boil one more time just to get all those flavors into it. And then we're going to turn it off. If you don't have a rolling pin at home, just take a can. You want to just take a can and just roll out the dough. And then we're going to go the other way and make it round. Poor man's rolling pin. Fill up the pie shell. We don't want it to bubble out of the shell. So we go almost to the top. We're gonna take our hopefully 10-inch puff pastry and we're gonna just lay it right over the top. Oh yeah, look at that. Touch the puff pastry to the pie shell. And then I take my egg wash and then we're gonna brush our pie. This brushing is gonna seal it and give us that nice golden brown color that we are looking for. Let's go to the oven. We've waited 15 minutes, which is well long enough. Let's find out what our gumbo pot pie looks like. Look at that beautiful thing. I don't know if it gets much better than that. See that golden brown? Got a little bubbly on the outside. Bring it right to the plate. Thank you for joining me. See you again.